Lido Pavilion. Are we going from Lido Casino to the Aloft Beach Club? I'm Kathy Antunes, host of The Detail on WSRQ Radio and WSLR, and I'm a member of the Coalition of City Neighborhood Associations, or CCNA, and I share this presentation with them on June 2nd. We have an urgent issue here in Sarasota County about the future of Lido Pavilion. Some history here. The site of Lido Pavilion used to be the site of Lido Casino. It was a beautiful outdoor pool facility with a restaurant, shops, snack bar that was enjoyed by so many people in this community. It was designed by Ralph Twitchell in 1940, who was also known as the grandfather of the Sarasota School of Architecture. And he said, Sarasota's Lido has been designed in the spirit of democracy to welcome all visitors to America. Young and old, rich and poor will find attractions here, which they can afford and enjoy. Lido Casino was the site of a Miss America pageant. It was a well-known attraction that people from all walks of life came to, but unfortunately it was not properly maintained. And in 1964, though, it was so beloved that city voters passed by a 2-to-1 margin a $250,000 city bond referendum for refurbishing Lido Casino. However, it didn't happen. On January 20th, 1969, the City Commission voted to award a contract to tear down the casino. Commissioner Jack Betts was the only no vote. He had been a lifeguard at the casino pool, and as he put it, the people voted to remodel it. We didn't do that, and I think it was wrong. Interestingly, there was the gentleman who tore down the Lido Casino said it was the hardest demolition he ever did, that it was a facility that was built as solid as a rock, and that had it been refurbished, it would have stood for decades. Lido Pavilion came next. It was built in the 1970s, and Lido Pavilion is about 50 years old. Lido Pavilion had been maintained by the county, and how that came about is an interesting story. In 1976, the cities of Longboat Key, Venice, Northport, and Sarasota sued the county over dual taxation. As any city resident and homeowner knows, the lion's share of our taxes don't go to the city. We pay the lion's share of our taxes to Sarasota County. And at that time, the cities believed they were funding county services which they didn't benefit from. So they sued, and this went all the way up to the Florida Supreme Court. But the cities prevailed, and they were reimbursed a total of $8 million. $4 million of that went to the city of Sarasota. The settlement agreement required Sarasota County to fund municipal parks. However, that settlement agreement expired in 2011-2012, and the county failed to renew it. The county walked away from their commitment to fund city parks, and they went and did things like the rowing facility. And that's why we find ourselves cash-strapped in the city when it comes to our parks. While the Lido Pavilion lease isn't the focus of this presentation, it's important to understand how we got here. The Lido Pavilion lease was negotiated basically behind the scenes for a number of years. When citizens asked for updates, they were told that it was still in process. And the Lido Pavilion lease never went through the Parks Advisory Board. And major changes like this are required to go through the Parks Advisory Board. Attorney John Patterson wrote a detailed 15-page memo of all the problems he saw with the Lido Pavilion lease and how it failed to protect the city. This is a one-sided sweetheart deal. And it is a long-term lease of at least 10 years with two options to renew, and could go on. So it's up to 30 years or even longer if capital improvements happen. Now, there are supposed to be 4 firm yeses for a lease like that. It requires a supermajority. And while it did get 4 votes initially, the problems that became so apparent prompted one commissioner who had voted yes, Willie Shaw, to ask the commission to review their decision. Unfortunately, none of the other commissioners took these concerns sufficiently seriously that they were willing to review the decision. And in fact, one commissioner claimed falsely that if they didn't go ahead with it, the city would be liable for millions and millions of dollars, which was flat out wrong. So there were a lot of problems with how this lease was approved. But this is not over. Just because the lease is approved, that does not mean this is over, because in order for the project to happen, a major conditional use and site plan approval are required. The site plan and major conditional use changes must be in the public interest, and impacts from these proposed changes must be considered. The site plan is the physical, plan for the building, and adverse impacts due to reduced beach access, parking, increased noise, traffic, expanded hours of operation with a full bar without the alcohol consumption, environmental deterioration, special events, all the impacts of those increased uses and the intensification of the use that's increasing has to be looked at and judged not to be a negative impact in order for these changes to go through. So let's look at access. One of the issues is affordability. Are Sarasota families being priced out of their own beach facility? And the answer is yes. There's 15 cabanas that are being planned to be rented at $100 a day. They're hiking up user fees. There's going to be a 200-seat restaurant, some seating outside the restaurant. But, most of this is going to be a destination restaurant with higher prices. We're seeing language which is concerning about public access. The term general public versus public is, general public access is like in any restaurant, a patron can go and use the bathroom, and that bathroom is considered open to the general public. However, we all know a restaurant owner can say, you have to be a patron to use the restroom. And we're seeing language creep in now, which may give the tenants, the proposed or the applicants, the ability to tell people, look, you have to be a patron, which is not good. We're seeing issues about handicapped access. Of course, there's parking and traffic concerns. And, if you can't access to the beach, it may as well not be there. Moving to Sarasota, beach access is a big reason why people come here. And if we choke off beach access, we are negatively impacting our real estate market. 40% of Florida coastline is available to the public. That's the state average. However, in Sarasota County right now, the average is 20%. And deals like this choke off access. Let's take a look at parking. There are 300 spaces with no room or plans for more. Public beach parking will be markedly reduced by this project. The increase in patron seating is going from 100 in a snack bar pool setting to more than 300. You've got 200 restaurant seats, 39 seats at a tiki bar, 15 cabanas that will seat 90 people who will expect food service, and that doesn't include the pool patrons. There will be employee parking demands to support such a facility, and when they have special events like weddings, that's going to blow the roof off parking demands. So we're looking at a real threat to the public just being able to park to go to the beach. Traffic is an issue. You're creating a destination restaurant with this plan. No traffic study has been committed and been submitted, and the special events impact of things like weddings, the frequency and magnitude of those events will create tension between the public who wants to use the beach and the leaseholders. Noise. This will be the only beach bar open until 10:30 p.m. There's no other bar on Lido Key on the beach that can be open that late. This is unprecedented. This is going to be a full bar. The current snack bar serves beer and wine. This is going to have hard liquor. And we all know late night and drinking hard liquor shots, there's the potential for some real issues with behavior and noise. It's interesting. There's a quiet enjoyment provision in the lease for the tenant, for the people who will be running the restaurant. But where is the quiet enjoyment right of Lido residents? That is a potential negative impact, which is grounds for denying these land use changes. We have to ask the question, what's really happening there here? Is Lido Pavilion really going to maintain that spirit of democracy that was put forth by Ralph Twitchell for Lido Casino? Or is it going to become exclusionary? These $100 day cabanas raise questions. We have to ask if it's really going to be an adjunct hotel site. The Ritz-Carlton has the beach club, and all the other hotels would like to have something like that too. And of course, the Ritz-Carlton paid for the property and developed it. There was a hotel that was slated for development and perhaps underway a few years ago that approached the Lido Key Residents Association and said, hey, we'll renovate the pavilion and it'll be open to the public, but it's also going to be for our guests. And the Lido Key residents said, no way, this is a public facility. Well, we've got Troy Seipert, who is the proprietor of the Daiquiri Deck. He is one of the applicants for this project. But then Gavin Meshad is another applicant. His father is John Meshad, who is an attorney, and John Meshad is the registered agent for One Palm LLC. One Palm LLC is the entity that owns the Aloft Hotel downtown. It is a prudent question for Sarasota residents to ask, are we really on the road to permitting Lido Pavilion to become the Aloft Hotel Beach Club? These access barriers, price, traffic, parking, we have to ask if our beach pavilion really won't be ours anymore. We have to take action. What can you do? Please sign the online petition to oppose the major conditional use and site plan approvals. You can go to ipetitions.com and look for Save Lido Pavilion. Email city commissioners and ask them to oppose this project, which is clearly against the public interest. Their email is commissioners@sarasotafl.gov. Bring this information to your neighborhood association. Ask them to get involved and ask them to support the City Coalition of Neighborhood Associations resolution for Lido Pavilion. We will be voting on that in September. We need you to show up. Make appointments to talk face-to-face with city commissioners one-on-one. You can call City Hall to schedule these. The at-large commissioners who represent everyone are Jennifer Ahern Koch and Hagen Brody. District 1 is represented by Willie Shaw, District 2 is represented by Liz Alpert, and District 3 is represented by Shelley Freeland Eddy. Plan to attend the Planning Commission hearing. There is no date set yet. We will let you know what it is when we know. Please attend the City Commission hearing. That's going to happen after the Planning Commission. We'll let you know about that date too. When you go to those meetings, please sign up to give public input. That's very important. And please do not be dissuaded. There's a very unfortunate practice that's come into use by our mayors to discourage people if they have input from repeating something that was said before. Frankly, any marketing person or salesperson knows that repetition is important. Commissioners hearing the same message over and over again gives them an important read on how many people feel that way in the community. They should not be asking you not to repeat other people if that's what you think. So take your 3 minutes and say what you have to say. We need to recruit competent expert testimony. We need land use attorneys, land use planners, professional urban planners. We need people who use the beach, people who live nearby, city residents, to come and provide evidence of foreseeable negative impacts to the public. And finally, this needs to be brought back to the Parks Advisory Board, which was wrongly excluded from this process. It is the obligation of the city under their own ordinances to include the Parks Advisory Board, and that didn't happen here. Finally, Lido Pavilion belongs to all of us. We need to imagine its future, learn from its past, come together with all of the talent in this community and all of the problem-solving skill, and create a community plan that truly works for the public and execute that plan. Thank you so much for watching this, and thank you for your involvement in working with us to protect the future of Lido Pavilion.